Welcome back to Chat Like a Native. Glad to have you back with us as we keep moving towards sounding more fluent and natural in English.
Yeah.
And today we're going to take a deep dive into something
Right.
that might seem small,
Mm-hmm.
but it really packs a punch
Yeah.
when it comes to sounding like a native speaker.
Yeah.
And that is question tags.
Right. You hit the nail on the head there.
Okay.
Question tags, they can be deceptively simple,
Yeah.
but mastering them can really transform your conversational skills.
Our source material actually calls them the secret to fluent English.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know if I'd go that far,
Right.
but I am definitely curious to hear why they're considered so important.
Okay.
What makes these little additions so impactful?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
The way native speakers talk, they use question tags constantly, almost without thinking.
Yeah.
It's like woven into the fabric of their speech.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Question tags add rhythm,
Yeah.
they invite participation, and they just make conversations flow more smoothly. Yeah.
It's one of those subtle things that can make a big difference in how natural you sound.
Okay, that makes sense. But before we get too far, Ed, let's make sure everyone's on the same page.
Sure.
Could you quickly break down what question tags actually are for anyone who might be new to them?
Absolutely. A question tag is simply a short question added to the end of a statement.
Okay.
Like a little invitation to confirm or agree or just keep the conversation going.
Right. It's like you're reaching out and saying, hey,
Yeah,
we're in this together, aren't we?
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a simple rule to remember, the golden rule of question tags.
Okay, the golden rule, I like it.
If your statement is positive,
Okay.
the tag needs to be negative.
Got it.
For example, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But if your statement is negative, then the tag needs to be positive. Like, you don't like coffee, do you?
So it's all about this positive-negative dance.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it's a dance that native speakers do instinctively.
Mastering this simple rule can instantly make your English sound more sophisticated.
Interesting. And our source material also mentioned that question tags aren't just about sounding fluent,
Right.
but also about building rapport and connecting with people.
Yeah,
Can you expand on that?
that's a crucial point.
Okay.
Question tags, they inject a dose of empathy and social intelligence into your conversations. For
right.
instance,
Yeah.
imagine you're talking to someone who's just finished a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, you must be relieved that's over, aren't you?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
It acknowledges their feelings and opens the door for them to share more.
Right, and in a way it shows that you're not just listening to their words,
Uh-huh.
but you're also paying attention to their emotions
Yeah.
and their underlying message.
That's really insightful. It's like you're creating a deeper connection through these simple question tags.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how powerful they can be,
Yeah.
but I have to admit,
Okay.
I still feel like I could mess them up.
Don't worry, that's completely normal.
Okay, good.
Even advanced learners can stumble with question tags.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack some common mistakes that
Yeah.
you can avoid.
Perfect. I'm all ears.
Okay.
What are the biggest pitfalls we need to watch out for?
One of the most common traps is forgetting the golden rule
Mm-hmm.
and using a negative tag with a negative statement or vice versa.
Okay.
For instance, saying, he doesn't like broccoli, doesn't he?
Yeah.
When it should be, he doesn't like broccoli, does he?
Yeah, I can see how that would sound a bit off.
Right.
What about those times when you're not sure which auxiliary verb to use in the question tag?
Sure.
That could be confusing.
Absolutely remember that the auxiliary verb in the tag
Yeah.
always needs to match the main verb in the statement.
Okay.
For example, she went to the store, didn't she?
Yeah.
She went to the store, doesn't she?
Right.
Pay close attention to both the tense and the verb form.
Okay, so it's about consistency
Uh.
and paying attention to the details. What else should we keep in mind?
Intonation plays a crucial role
Okay.
in how your question tag is perceived. A rising intonation at the end signals a genuine question,
Okay.
like you're truly curious
Mm-hmm.
and seeking information.
Okay.
Think you're coming to the party, aren't you?
Uh-huh.
But if you're just seeking agreement or confirmation,
Okay.
the intonation should fall at the end. Like, it's a great movie, isn't it?
Wow, I never realized how much subtlety goes into these question tags.
Right.
It's like a whole other layer of communication.
Exactly.
So for our listeners who are eager to start using question tags more effectively,
Yeah.
where should they begin? What are your top tips?
I always suggest starting with the most common
Okay.
and easy to remember tags,
Okay.
isn't it? Aren't you?
Don't you?
Okay. These are your bread and butter question tags
Mhm.
that you can use in almost any situation.
Simple and effective. And once you've got those down, what's the next step? How can our listeners really integrate question tags into their everyday English.
Practice, practice, practice.
Oh, there we go.
Don't be afraid to throw them into your daily conversations.
Oh.
Even if it's just small talk.
Yeah.
This weather is crazy, isn't it? You're enjoying your meal, aren't you? The more you use them, the more natural they will feel,
Yeah.
and soon they'll become second nature.
So it's all about getting comfortable with them
Mhm.
and making them part of your natural speech pattern.
Exactly.
And now we've covered the basics.
Yeah.
But I know there's so much more to explore
Yeah.
in the world of question tags.
Absolutely.
We've got cultural nuances,
Right.
idiomatic expressions, and even some more complex structures to unpack.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
We're just getting started.
Well-
We've laid a solid foundation, but there's a whole universe of possibilities
Ooh, I like it.
waiting to be discovered.
Okay.
You know what I find fascinating is that question tags,
Okay.
they can be like a secret weapon.
Ooh, for adding all these different shades of meaning to your English.
Oh, I love that analogy. A secret weapon.
Right.
Tell me more about how we can use question tags to create these different effects
Okay.
in our conversations.
Well, think about how you can use a question tag to make a statement sound less direct.
Okay.
Almost like you're seeking permission.
Okay.
Instead of saying, I can use your phone,
Right.
you could say, I can use your phone, can't I?
That's a good one. Definitely softens the request.
Exactly.
And makes it sound less demanding.
It shows that you're acknowledging the other person
Yeah.
and that they have a choice.
Right.
And on the other hand,
Okay.
you can use question tags to actually add emphasis
Okay.
or even challenge someone's opinion.
Ooh, interesting. So we can use question tags to subtly disagree. Give me an example.
Let's say someone says that new restaurant is overpriced.
Okay.
You could respond with, it's not that expensive, is it?
Okay.
The rising intonation at the end
Yeah.
subtly suggests that you disagree, right? And you're kind of prompting them to reconsider.
Ah, that's clever. It's like a gentle nudge
Exactly.
toward a different viewpoint without being confrontational.
It's all about nuance, you
Yes.
know, and using language strategically.
I like it.
And speaking of nuance, let's revisit something we talked about earlier,
Okay.
the cultural side of question tags.
Yes. We mentioned that British English can be a bit more indirect.
Right.
Are there any other cultural variations our listeners should be aware of when it comes to using these?
Absolutely. The frequency and function of question tags can vary significantly
Wow.
across cultures.
Mm-hmm.
In some cultures, using a lot of question tags might come across as hesitant or unsure of yourself.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about getting the grammar right,
Right.
but also about understanding the cultural context.
Precisely. Language is a reflection of culture and social norms.
Oh, that makes sense.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a moment.
And talk about some practical tips for expanding our question tag vocabulary.
Wow.
What are some less common question tags that our listeners could start incorporating?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know we've talked about the basic isn't it and aren't you types,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely ready to branch out
Okay.
and add some new tools to my question tag arsenal.
Have you ever considered using shall we as a question tag?
Shall we? I don't think I've ever used that as a question tag before.
Okay.
How would that work in a sentence?
It's often used to make suggestions or proposals.
Okay.
For instance, we should get started on that project, shall we?
Okay.
Or let's take a break and grab some coffee, shall we?
Oh, I like that. It sounds very polite and inviting.
Exactly. It adds a touch of elegance
Yeah.
and formality.
Yeah.
I like it. Another interesting one is right.
Right.
Yeah,
Isn't that more common in American English?
you're right.
Okay.
It is more prevalent in American English.
Oh.
But it's becoming increasingly popular in other varieties of English as well.
Oh.
It can be used to seek confirmation,
Hmm?
express agreement,
Right.
or simply keep the conversation flowing.
Can you give me an example of how you'd use right in a sentence?
Sure. Imagine you're making plans with a friend.
Yep.
You could say, we're meeting at 7 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're confirming information,
Right.
you could say, the concert starts at 8 p.m., right?
That makes perfect sense. It's like a casual way of saying, am I correct?
Precisely. And that's what's so cool about question tags.
Yeah.
They give you so many different ways
Yeah.
to express yourself.
I love it.
Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
but there's one more area I want to touch on
Yeah.
before we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Question tags with modal verbs.
Ooh, modal verbs. I have to admit, those can be a bit tricky for me.
Yeah.
Can you give us a quick rundown?
They can be a bit challenging, but with practice, they'll become second nature. The key thing to remember is that when using a question tag with a modal verb,
Yeah.
you simply use the same modal verb in the tag.
So if the statement is, we should leave soon,
Yeah,
the question tag would be, shouldn't we?
exactly.
Okay.
Or if the statement is, you could help me with this, the tag would be, couldn't you?
Got it. So it's all about keeping the modal verb consistent.
You've got it. Consistency and a keen eye for detail
Yeah.
will help you master question tags in no time.
This has been such a fascinating discussion. I feel like I'm starting to see question tags in a whole new light.
Good.
We've uncovered so much ground already.
Yeah.
From the basic mechanics to cultural nuances.
Right.
And even some clever ways to use them for different conversational effects.
I agree. We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
But there's still more to explore.
Okay.
One thing that often trips up learners
Yeah.
is using the question tags with negative imperatives.
Okay.
It seems kind of counterintuitive, but they can actually work really well together.
Negative imperatives with question tags.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Right.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Imagine you're reminding a friend to take something with them.
Okay.
You could say, don't forget your umbrella, will you?
Ah, I see. So it's still a reminder,
Right.
but the question tag makes it sound softer.
Exactly.
Less like a command.
It adds a touch of warmth and friendliness.
Okay. I like that.
Another interesting area to explore is using question tags with let's.
Let's. How does that work?
It's quite common.
Okay.
When you're suggesting something, you can add shall we as a question tag.
Okay.
For example, let's go for a walk, shall we? Or let's try that new Italian restaurant, shall we?
Oh, that's a good one. It turns a suggestion
Yeah.
into a shared decision.
Right. It's a nice way to be inclusive and
Yeah.
encourage participation.
Okay.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about the grammar rules and different types of question tags.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on something that I think is really fascinating.
Okay.
How question tags work in idiomatic expressions.
Idiomatic expressions. Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
They always add so much color
Yeah,
to the language.
absolutely.
What do you mean by question tags being used in idiomatic expressions?
Well, sometimes question tags are used in set phrases
Okay.
where they don't actually ask a question.
Okay.
They've just become part of the expression.
Okay.
And they convey a specific feeling or attitude.
Can you give me an example of one of these idiomatic question tags?
Sure. Think about the phrase, there you go then.
Okay.
It often implies an unspoken, isn't it, or doesn't it, at the end,
Right.
even though it's not a real question.
Ah, I see. So it's more about expressing
Yeah.
a sense of finality or
Yeah.
resonating.
Like, well, that's that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do about it.
Precisely.
Right.
It's a subtle way of conveying a feeling
Yeah.
or acknowledging a situation.
Another great example is, what are you going to do? It's often used rhetorically to express frustration or helplessness
Yeah.
rather than actually seeking a solution.
I can definitely relate to that one.
Right.
It's more of an emotional outburst than a genuine request for advice.
Exactly.
So what does all this mean for our listeners
Okay.
who are trying to master question tags?
It means that mastering question tags goes beyond just memorizing the rules.
Right.
It's about developing a sensitivity to the nuances of the language,
Okay.
paying attention to how native speakers use them in different contexts, and being willing to experiment.
That's such great advice. So it's about embracing the richness and complexity of English
Uh-huh.
and using it to express yourself in a way that feels natural and authentic.
Absolutely. And that's really the essence of Chat Like a Native, isn't it?
Yeah.
To help you develop the confidence and fluency to communicate effectively.
Right.
And connect with others on a deeper level.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, good.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating world of question tags,
Right.
what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I would encourage everyone to go out there and start using question tags
Yeah.
in their everyday conversations.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
Have fun with them.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed at how much they can enhance your communication skills
Mhm.
and make you sound more natural
Yeah.
and engaging.
Wonderful advice.
All right.
And on that note, we're signing off for today. But remember,
Okay.
the journey toward fluency is an ongoing adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Keep practicing,
Keep exploring.
keep exploring, and most importantly,
Yeah.
keep chatting.